But if you haven't had a gross revenue as a company, knowing how to do your own payroll to your teammates, your downline as a sales company, those are things you want to get under your belt. You want to know how to do your own payroll, of course your taxes. Like, these are minimum things that a lot of sales companies are already doing. But if you don't know that, focus on getting that down first, right? Being a true sales organization.
Welcome back, Sales Talk with Solar Pros. We are here in Austin, Texas. I'm here with JD, and we're here on what level? What level is this?
16th floor.
16th floor of the
Capital Factory.
The what? The Capital Factory.
Factory.
We're on the Capital Factory. We've got the city views behind us as well. And I want to introduce JD, who's a really good friend, but he's a veteran inside the roofing, security, smart home, and now solar, right?
That is correct.
And what really sets this guy apart is he's an expert in in building installers, the operation side, and also permitting, all the back-end operations, which is something that a lot of sales orgs are starting to put their eye on. So tell us a bit about that, man, and welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, so sales orgs, I started in sales, so that's, I understand, and I feel the sales side first and foremost. I started in the security industry, knocked doors. I did 10 years of summer sales programs where we would recruit from college universities, take them to another state, and then do a 14-week boot camp, hitting doors.
And when was this? Like, how long ago?
Started in summer of 2005.
Oh, damn.
All the way through 2015.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a long time ago, man. Yeah.
So, and before that, I did telemarketing at up the street here at MCI WorldCom. So I used to sell over the phone the unlimited long distance program. Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. I don't know if you remember those commercials.
Nah.
It was when it was 5 cents a minute to unlimited.
Wow.
And the whole phone.
Cold calling?
Yeah, cold calling.
Cold calling
On the phone.
Crazy. That was before you got into
before security. Yeah, I did that right out of high school, into college for about 4 or 5 years, and then right out of college went into security and door to door.
Okay. Yeah, and that was like a commission only role as well.
Always.
Always commission only.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been non-commissioned or even a W-2.
Yeah.
Ever.
And now you're the owner of Rufio, which we've seen you come up. You're starting to blow up. You're speaking on stages as well. So we got to speak on the Solar Bootcamp stage. What is Rufio, man? Obviously, it's not Rufio. What's that guy's name from?
Rufio from the movie Hook.
Yeah, from Hook.
It's a great marketing ploy having that name and that character.
You actually had Rufio on the t-shirt at SolarCon,
at SolarCon. We had it was pretty funny t-shirt that we made up. Props out to Jimmy. He actually put that together as our sales manager.
Jimmy.
And it was the name actually is Roof, and then the power symbol, which is IO, so Roof Power is where the name came from. So Roof Power.
I think everyone watching this that's has always been wondering, like, is it Rufio, Roof.io? It's Roof Power.
Yeah.
Dude, dropping bombs.
Roof Power, Rufio as the name. But yeah, we are looking to seeing the roofing industry and the solar industry marry each other.
Okay.
That's what we believe in. That's what we see will happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but within the next couple of years, there's going to be a product. And I know there's products out now, but it's not as it's not mainstream. It's not economical for the homeowner right now. There's a lot of testing back and forth.
Is this a product you mean like a solar roof?
Like a solar shingle, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so everyone's seen those products out there.
Yeah.
But there hasn't really been a go-to. So we're courting a lot of manufacturers right now and talking to companies. But we ultimately believe that the roof and solar will eventually marry. It's just inevitable because consolidating into one product is just going to make it easier, cheaper, and a lot more efficient to just have one instead of two separate.
Yeah. That's really interesting you say that, man, because like me and Chad, we like to say that we are from the future. right? It's from the Australian market. And in Australia, what we saw is like the solar roofs. They never really, it's not actually not even a thing, right? It's something that Australians see on TV and they're like, oh, is solar roofing even a thing? They're like, yeah, it actually exists in America. So how do you think the Australian market is different compared to like the US? Why do you think that solar roofs are actually going to be a thing here?
Well, you look at the Australian market and, they're roughly 10 years ahead of the U.S. market. And you guys are seeing a lot of the things that have happened over there starting to happen here. But, having that delta of 10 years to where we are now, the products and services haven't caught up, right? Yeah. So, 10 years ago, the smartphones weren't the same. The iPad, didn't even have the second generation pencil, those little things, to see it through in a market, the technology wasn't there. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So now that 2023, there are products that are out there, but they're just going to get better and better and better.
Yeah. And cheaper as well, more economical for the customer.
Yeah. I mean, just like the TV, if the TV came out in Australia 10 years before it did in the U.S., it's still the technology getting to that point.
Yeah. Because I am seeing a lot of detach reset companies now starting to make a lot of noise, and so this is going to solve, like, the solar roof is actually going to solve the issue of having to remove panels and all that sort of stuff.
For sure,
right?
For sure, we're moving more into doing like home restoration and storm damage repairs, and it's really becoming a topic of conversation in the insurance industry. Is like, hey, you need a new roof and your solar's damaged. Could you move towards that solar shingle? And the insurance company's like, well, how much does it cost? What's that payout? Is it actually better?
You're right.
And if and when it does become that, you'll see a lot more of that being pushed as well, having that backing with insurance companies. And,
that's right, because if there's no insurance, then people are not going to put it on.
Yeah. So if the insurance company backs it, that's a huge foot in the door. To getting that product out there. But like I said, it's not there yet, but it will be.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So I want to give some tactical knowledge to the viewers today, and we were literally just discussing just before we jumped on the podcast. How you went from being a sales org, and then you mastered the EPC game through like consulting and stuff, and now you're running a really, really interesting model as an installer. Now, there's a lot of sales orgs out there right now that they're doing really well as a sales company. They've got money in the bank, there's capital, there's cash flow, and they want to know how can they actually use it and in-house everything and become an installer. So tell us about that, man. Like, what do people need to know? What's important? Give us a few steps.
So, making that leap from sales to actually doing operations, installation, customer service, the whole gambit of the project management, it's night and day. So, you have great sales teams that are out there. But that's just one aspect. You not only, if you're going to take on the full operations of accounting, and when I say accounting, like, you're responsible for payroll, you're responsible for, making sure that licenses and insurance, everything's paid for. You're taking on all the aspects, not just the sales, right? So first and foremost, if you haven't mastered the sales part of it, I definitely don't even think about moving in there, right? But as you said, there are some sales organizations that already have it down.
So that's interesting you say that, man. So I'm sure there's people out there listening saying, I'm going to in-house everything. I'm going to be an installer. What are the signs of, like, you're not ready yet? Like, don't get into the game.
Yeah, if you're not doing $1 million at least with your sales team, then
is that a month or a year?
On an annual basis, like bare minimum a year, then it's. I mean, even breaking it down to a monthly basis, because I'm just picturing like sales teams. I mean, there's individuals that are making that.
All right, we're back, Sales Talk. So we had a few technical issues, but we are back. So we were discussing, what are the signs, or when is a sales org actually ready to become an installer?
So, like I was saying, is a minimum, and I say $1 million as a reference point, right? If you haven't had a gross revenue as a company, knowing how to do your own payroll to your teammates, your downline as a sales company, those are things you want to get under your belt. You want to know how to do your own payroll, of course, your taxes. Like, these are minimum things that a lot of sales companies are already doing. But if you don't know that, focus on getting that down first, right? Being a true sales organization, right? Because there's a lot of companies out there that are, saying that they are, but, they don't have a website. They don't have, any type of knowledge on just the accounting and business aspect. It's not just sales, right? Showing up to a house and closing, there's a lot more. So I would say, get it down, get a team together, payroll your guys that are underneath you. Make sure that you're doing, the I-9 forms, you're registering, you have an EIN, all the basic business aspects that you're doing as a sales organization. Once you have that down and then you're comfortable, then you progress and you take on a little bit more. There's a lot of companies that I've seen, big and small, that, just dive right in and, they want to, buy trucks and the whole gambit. But it's if you don't have the sales down and consistent to take care of that, then you get upside down really quick.
And now let's say, I'm running a sales org, absolutely killing it. Why would I even want to start an installer? Like, why would I want to become the installer as well? Like, what are the benefits?
There's a few benefits. One of the benefits that we saw, and a big reason we did it, is time to install. Right? I wanted, I had accounts in the pipeline that were just taking forever, and I said, can't happen. So I needed to figure out a way how I could take that process, make it quicker, and get it in faster, right? So, that was really like the why on why I wanted to do it. And the benefit is obviously, you get it to install quicker. But also,
and you can control like the time to PTO and all that sort of stuff.
Correct. So and having control of that process rather than giving it to somebody else and hoping for the best. Because your customers could get pissed. You don't have, good referrals. You don't have, all the little things that you would expect, and it's okay, right? Because you're giving it to somebody else to do. But ultimately, I had a vision on how I felt a customer should be handled from A to Z, and even beyond once they're a customer. So that was a big why on why bring it internal. The financial aspect, if you're not business savvy, and what I mean by that, you think that there's a little 10 cent or 20 cent per watt difference that can get eaten up really quickly if you don't structure your process correctly.
That's interesting, man, as well. So, because I think what's in when sales orgs are discussing whether or not they should become installers, is oh man, if we become an installer, we're gonna make so much more money.
I'm gonna double up.
I'm gonna make $2 a watt now.
So you got to think of it this way. It's like, if you're gonna move in that direction, then you're not just a sales org. You're an installer, right? So you have to take on that type of a business, right? You have to be open to doing the installs and fulfilling and the whole
warranties and
everything that comes along with it. So in theory, it sounds nice, but there's a lot more work. But the more risk, the more reward, right? So there's a trade-off, and as long as you're understanding what you're biting, because a lot of people bite off more than they can chew, right? So if you take on one process at a time, whether it be payroll, accounting, operations, customer service, whatever that is, and then you're comfortable with it, and then add another one, right? Instead of just trying to go all in and get it all together, it's okay, because there are companies out there that'll work with you, whether it be a la carte or specifically on what you're looking for that next step.
And what are the challenges with running an installer?
Challenges, you're gonna
challenges for sales guys
that are going
into business owners.
you lose focus on the prize, which is sales.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right? Because now your prize is fulfillment.
Yeah.
And you got to get that process down. If not, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So, you see a lot of people going into the installation and fulfillment side that have come from sales.
Yeah.
But then excuse my French, but they're like, fuck this. Like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
hard.
this is much harder than
this
what
is
I
a
thought.
lot more, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if you try to bite off more than what you're really wanting to take on at any given point, you're going to see it as being like, this is way too much, right?
Yeah.
So, my suggestion would just be taking on exactly what you want to focus on step by step, feel comfortable with it, and then move in that direction.
Where should they start first? Like, which department should they start bringing in-house first? And which one should they do, last?
So that's a good question. And I don't think there's an alphabetical order or a numeric order, step 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
It's really fundamentally what you feel comfortable with at that time and what you've gotten down. Because some people, you might be an accounting major, right? Or you've come from that background.
Yeah.
And then payroll's cool. Or you might, be a customer service agent the last 10 years, jumped into sales, so the customer service aspect. You bring it on, it's done, right?
Yeah.
So it's really dependent on the leader of that company, which, it's... And also, when sales orgs go into that business, sometimes they bring partnerships with it.
Okay. Yeah.
So you really got to make sure the sales partnership is going to be a lot different from the fulfillment, installation, operations partnership if you're trying to take that on.
It's a whole new level of challenges that these guys are going to experience.
Different relationships. I've seen people just the relationships, when they were sales orgs and they were working in that direction, a lot different. And when I say like taking on that aspect, as a fulfillment or installation company, you have to know every aspect. Some people are like, well, I'll just hire out that side of it, or I'll get someone to fill that position.
Yeah.
But if you truly want to grow it, you have to know it.
So you got to be an expert in it.
You got to know it, man, because if you hire someone and you don't know it yourself, then you don't know how to tell them what they're doing right or wrong.
Okay.
And they could be working on a daily basis in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And it puts you, one step forward, but 2 steps back.
Yeah, right.
On a daily.
Yeah. So how did you become an expert? Like, let's talk about that.
I'll tell you, YouTube.
YouTube? Yeah.
YouTube was
watching installers installing and
man,
stuff?
I would stay up till 2-3 in the morning. My wife would attest to this. She's like, why are you still up?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I got to watch this. I got to see how this is done, And it's not that it would teach you how to be an expert right off the bat, but it's a culmination of everything that you're hearing and then applying and finding what works.
Yeah. So
right?
give me an example of a specific video that you would watch to learn.
So there was and there's so many videos out there. From installation, knowing if an MPU is needed, to different panel types. There's so many videos out there for what you're looking for. I wouldn't say there's one specific video that has caught my mind or attention on learning or any channel in general either.
Hey guys, very quickly, are you an individual sales rep that wants a pipeline with red hot appointments, or perhaps a sales order or even an EBC? Well, we're working with companies just like yours to build out their own internal call center so they can have red hot appointments on demand with certainty without the high cost. So if you would like to know how much a company of your size that can generate in terms of extra installs, get communication with us by clicking on the link below.
But you find something that you're watching and you kind of like it, right? It's like hopping on Netflix and watching a series, right? Yeah. So it's a topic, you find that topic.
You just go deep.
Yeah, you just start watching the video after video until you really understand it. Yeah. And that's kind of how I, felt that I connected with certain, topics in general.
You're right, man, because back in Australia when Chad and I, we had the installation company, one little change, like if you're not familiar with like a small change, for example, when you're moving from a 60 cell panel to a 72 cell panel, all of a sudden it's like less panels and the pricing, like the cost structure with your installer changes, and then the number of panels that you're using changes, all your templates need to change as well, because now they have to say 72 to sell.
Yep.
So all those little changes, if we didn't spend the time to understand all that stuff, like putting that through the system, it could break. Like at any point, people will get paid incorrectly. We install like one too many panels, or maybe we order one too less panels, something like that.
That's exactly right. And that's why you have to kind of have that knowledge and not give it to somebody else, because that person isn't motivated to have that knowledge all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're put in a position to do what what you've structured them to do.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, how to correct them, then that's, where it kind of can go off of the path.
Yeah. Now, do you have, because obviously you're the visionary, right, of Rufio. Do you have integrators within Rufio that now just, take all the operations and then they run with it? Or are you heavily involved with operations every day?
I would say I still oversee it. We have a great team at Rufio. We have people that have been there 2-3+ years that know the process. I mean, we're going on 7 years. And when I say 2 to 3 years, that's kind of like the minimum. We've had guys that are, Moriel, shout out to him. He's our VP of operations. He really knows every aspect. But when he came on, he didn't. Right?
So he was a sales guy, or
no. He was just open minded to learn it, and him and I, great relationship, and he just tackled it every day, and he was motivated to learn, and that's what you have to find.
What was his background?
His background was actually marketing over the phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. So he was in like the sales space.
Sales / customer service.
Yeah.
So, he brought, again, like a gambit of knowledge. So, you really open up a position and you find the person that's motivated to want to learn.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of, how to structure that position, and you're working with them as they go. So, I was working with him pretty much every day until, I was like, all right, well, you got it, and any questions you have, let me know.
Yeah.
And then, then I could move on to something else,
Yeah.
right? And then, accounting, did the same thing in accounting, same thing in customer service, same thing with, our IT and tech, and, you get it down, and you can do multiple departments, but if you're the visionary and you're the leader, you have to know every one of them.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. All right, so I'm a sales org, and I want to start an installer tomorrow. How much money do I need, and what am I investing in?
So, and that's an open-end question.
Yeah.
Like, are you taking on just the little city that you're in? Are you taking on the region? Are you taking on the state?
What would you recommend on the easiest path to actually get started? Because we also spoke about two different models, right? Mm-hmm. You've got the model where you're buying trucks, you're buying or leasing warehouses, you're housing panels and all that sort of stuff. And then you told us about a really cool, almost like a drop shipping model.
Yeah, it's more of a fulfillment. Where you're working through partners to get the jobs fulfilled. Yeah. I would say to a sales team, don't take on the installation as much as what your sales is producing currently, right? So if let's just say Austin, I'm doing like 20 to 30 a month, then build your operations based off of 10 to 15 a month.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So that sales is it's cash flowing what you're building, and you're not going too top heavy or upside down. Yeah, you're not getting bigger on your operations than what your sales is. So you're always want to be a step back from what your sales is actually doing.
And how much, so let's say we're building for 10 to 15 installs a month. How much am I looking at, like in terms of what do I need to invest in? Capital.
First off, you definitely have to, I don't want to say I'm an expert, but these are just things that I was aware of. Is you got to have good credit, because you have to have partners that are willing to work with you on inventory.
Yeah. You got to get accounts with suppliers and stuff.
Yeah, you got to, not saying if you have a bankruptcy, it's going to hurt. There's ways to do that, but you got to make sure you're on your P's and Q's, and you got to dot your I's and cross your T's. And what I mean by that is like, you got to make the relationships with, where you're getting your inventory, your installation teams. You got to start building those relationships in a good business sense and good business in general. You never want to burn anybody. There's times I've paid people that, I don't think they deserve it, but it's in the contract that, that's what they are owed. It'll be paid, right? So you're always putting more into getting the project done and fulfilled and closing your tasks out
before you're getting paid.
Yeah, you don't want to leave anything open, whether it's owing something. We're a cash in, cash out company. So as soon as we're funded, everybody's funded. We're trying to get that money out every week as fast as possible. So that way we know where we're at and where we can scale to.
So you're saying also have a reserve of cash just in case things go wrong?
We'll know what your cash flow is, right? The reserve would be for anything, because sales is up and down, right? It's like a heartbeat. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. So anyone that's like, oh, I'm in sales and I've been producing and it's not going to stop, right? I'm just going to keep going. Well, hey, let me
keep knocking and run the install company.
Yeah, let me bring you down off of cloud 9 for a second and just let you know, like, there will be a dip. I mean, that's how markets work. It's like, you buy low and you sell high, right? It's got to work that way, up and down. And even as a sales org, you're going to have your dip, right? So just knowing and anticipating that dip. So making sure your operations is covering when things are as low as they are and when they are as high as they are. So us as a company, we know how many projects we can take on at any given time. And we know how many projects we at least need to keep operations going.
So we also spoke about the two different models, like traditional model and then this the new model. And this is the same model that we ran in Australia. We actually didn't know that it was a thing here until we spoke to you. What are those two different models, and what are the benefits of each one, and which one you would recommend?
Yeah, so the two different models, it's it's just how you operate as a business, and each one has their pros and cons. So what you're calling traditional model is housing, warehouses, inventory, trucks, W-2 employees,
sounds really fucking expensive.
Yeah, I mean it is, but keep in mind there's more of a margin that you can work from, right? Because now you have more of a fixed cost, and as long as the sales are there, you're kind of anticipating and what those costs are, they're going to be a lot less. Right? We operate in a model where I call it more of a fulfillment model and an installation, right? So just as the same as a traditional model, holding the license, insurance, being registered with the utility, we do the same, except our overhead for warehouses, installation crews, W-9, inventory housed, we don't have those costs. We work through a different channel to cover those costs, and we work directly with installation teams to cover a labor portion of the install. Everything else is internalized.
And what about like the finance companies, supplier accounts? That's all still with the companies and with Rufio? Or
with Rufio.
With Rufio.
So everything is, and what I can explain and compare it to is like the Uber model. Right? So we don't, Uber, the car drivers, right? Uber doesn't own the cars. They don't employ the drivers. They don't pay for the gas. They don't even pay for the insurance. Well, they have their own insurance, which actually we do as well, but it's contracted through that driver, right? So I would say it's, we're more of that Uber model where we contract out and we don't own, and there's a pros and a con, just like the taxi company that owns all the taxis that are out there, and that's who's picking you up, compared to Uber, who you're working through their platform to still get from A to B.
And so are you building a platform? Is Rufio a technology as well?
Yes, so that's a big reason we are here at Capital Factory. It's a tech incubator.
Mind you, this is a sick office. There is in the kitchen there's free beer, free coffee, free bread. You can toast your own bread as well. There's breakfast. It's super sick.
Yeah, we share this with a lot of other companies that are in the tech space, which helps us be innovative.
Yeah.
You know, we talk to a lot of companies and people out there. One thing that we're taking on this month is AI.
Wow. Okay.
So we have our systems that are integrating with AI, scheduling appointments. It's really cool. When we were up in Dallas, I saw it just pinging, talking
to your leads.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is integrated through your CRM.
Correct.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's really
get my hands on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good, a good place to learn and grow.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. But our technology is really heavily focused on process.
Yeah.
The A to Z process. We're still working with I would say experts in the industry. We work with Open Solar. We work with Eagle View. There's a lot of companies we do work with.
Yeah.
But just like Uber does as well, right?
Yeah.
They internalize the Google Maps. They put in, that platform that you download and that app, it didn't start off that way. It was connected to a back office or back operations or back tech that pushed that information to the front end user so that it was easier to use.
Which app is this?
Like Uber.
Oh, Uber. Okay, yeah.
I mean, they didn't start with their own mapping system. They pulled that from.
So it's very manual, and then they started systemizing and automating that stuff.
I mean, they internalized a lot of what was out there and brought it in, and now they have their own thing, but it didn't start right off the bat that way. The same with us is we work with the industry experts, and we're bringing more of that in. We're collaborating on a lot of things. And a lot of things that we're doing through our systems, is it's been being internalized to a point to A to Z process.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, you don't know what C, D, F, and R are, right? They're inputted by another system, but you would never know because it's internalized from A to Z.
On the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a great team as well, man. Shout out to Patsy and Jimmy.
Yes.
Great team. Cool, man. So we're also discussing that we will be working together. And we're going to be offering a mastermind on how sales orgs can transition into becoming their own installer. Now, what's the criteria? What type of sales orgs do we want to, apply for this particular mastermind? What's the criteria that they should be at?
Yeah. So, anything that already has a foundation. We work with all different forms of sales orgs. Us as Rufio bringing on fulfilling for other partners. And they come on certain levels. And what I mean by that, we have everyone that are, overall have everything internalized. They have a website. They do their own payroll.
So you need a website.
Yeah, you need a website.
Not just a landing page.
Not abcsolar@gmail.com. It's you got to have the realistic functions of a business, right? So you have to be registered as a business. Here in the state of Texas, you have to work through different licensing, different. You have to have your insurance. You have to, Texas taxes. Those things have to be taken care of. So, and that's just Texas, right? So, making sure that you have a good basic. If you don't have a good basic operations for your sales team, this is going to be a nightmare. Right.
Yeah.
But if you have that down and you're like, okay, what's next? Then.
So do we only want to talk to sales orgs who are making $1 million a month?
I would say that's a good start.
Yeah, because I feel like if a sales org is at $1 million a month, they're doing something right because it's $12 million a year, right? So they've got the recruitment machine, they've got their the onboarding, their training, they've got the leaders in place to look after the sales. teams, and now they're ready to move focus, or at least move some of those team members to focus on. All right, now let's bring on let's go to the next phase, the next evolution of the company. We're going to start installing. So if you're making at least $1 million a month as a sales org, and you're interested in transitioning into becoming an installer, using this proprietary model that you've put together, without taking on a lot of risk, without needing to invest in warehouses and all that sort of stuff, but actually owning the install side, then go to salestalkwithsolarpros.com/installer. All right, salestalkwithsolarpros.com/installer. There's going to be a form. Fill it in. If you're interested, let's jump on a call. Let's have a quick conversation, and if it's the right fit, then we'll make you an offer on how we can help you guys out. Dude, it's been amazing jamming on this podcast. From the 16th floor, we've got view of the hotel rooms. Oh, that's down there, is it?
Yeah. You can see the Fremont, Hilton, the Frost Tower, all downtown Austin.
Love it, man. And man, looking forward to chopping it up with you and launching this as well.
Sounds good.
Love it, bro. See you guys later.